Hi everybody, my name is Evelyn Sennefeld and I'm a senior at Purdue studying chemical engineering and minoring in Mandarin Chinese. A little bit about myself. I spent the last year down in Bloomington, Indiana, close to IU. I know our rivals, working at a company that manufactures COVID-19 vaccines. On campus, I'm involved in a social sorority for women in STEM, a Grand Prix team, I'm a driver for the team, and a engineering projects and community service group. Okay, first question. Tell about a team that you enjoyed working on. What made the team enjoyable? Okay, so my sophomore year for my chemical engineering stats class, I had a 2-week project with a team of 3 people. And what was really great about this team is that we built a lot of good team working skills like flexibility and time management because we only had 2 weeks to complete this project. So what we did is we kind of met and figured out our strengths and kind of figured out a timeline of how we were going to get this done. And then we had to be very flexible. So sometimes we would just meet online. Sometimes we would meet in between classes. Sometimes we'd have to meet late at night. So it was good because we had to work with each other and kind of figure out how are we going to get this done in this short amount of time. Okay, second question. Tell about a time you experienced exceptional customer service and how that changed the way you serve customers. Okay, kind of an odd example, but in high school, I was having a pretty bad day and I went to a ice cream shop and I think the lady serving me ice cream could kind of tell I was having a bad day because she was like, how's your day going? And told me a joke, made me laugh, and it was just kind of a good experience that stuck with me. And so I used that when I worked at a cupcake shop in high school. I started asking people, how's your day going? And ask them different questions. I like your shirt, all kind of things like that, versus just which cupcake would you like? And I think it really brightened the mood of the store. It made me enjoy work a lot more, and I think it made our customers enjoy the environment a lot better. So that's something I'm happy that I learned in customer service. Okay, third, thinking about diversity. How do you encourage an inclusive environment? Okay, so before last year, I was a project manager for my engineering projects and community service team. And something I started doing was using the first 2 meetings to really get to know each other. So we did games like the name game and 2 truths and a lie, and just had different small group conversations so that we could really get to know each other on more than just a surface level. I think it kind of makes the team work better later on, and it just makes everybody feel more included. Something else we also did was throughout the semester we had dining court dinners, or we would go to Silver Dipper every once in a while, just so that we could have conversations outside of just engineering. And I think that really boosted the team morale and kind of promoted an inclusive environment. Okay, 4. Give an example of a time you had to explain a complicated process to a person. Explain. So last year when I worked, when I was on my co-op working, I worked in a department that did a lot of research and science kind of topics. And so one of the topics I worked on was a topic called multi-column chromatography. And pretty much what that means is that you have more than one column processing. And a girl in an engineering department reached out to me because she was given a similar project and she wanted more background knowledge. So what I did was I met with her a few different times, told her what I had learned, and then stopped every once in a while I was explaining it to see if she understood, and kind of asked her to explain it back to me, because if you can have somebody explain a process back to you, it generally means that they have a better idea of what you're explaining to them versus just taking it all in and not really working it out themselves. What the process, what it was, explaining it wise. So I'm gonna explain it in relation to cups of water. And so imagine one column is 1 cup of water, and let's say you don't know how much water you need to how much water you have you're going to be filling that cup with. And so instead of just having one giant cup, it's a lot better to have multiple cups so that you don't accidentally overflow the cup when you're filling it with water. So similar concepts, like you don't know how much product you're going to be running through the column. So if you have like 8 columns lined up, then you don't really have to worry about like overflowing one, because what comes off of the one will go to the second one, versus if you just had like one giant column, like you might run the risk of like losing product if it overflows. So that was kind of the project that I worked on. Question 5, what is an area in which you need improvement and which is an area in which you excel? Okay, so an area I need improvement, sometimes I get really caught up in the future. I really like talking about like my future, and sometimes I forget to like, you know, take the necessary steps to get there. So slowing myself down and telling myself there's no better time than now to like really hammer down and like set down those steps is kind of like what I've been working on. An area I excel, I really like teaching people things. I help teach my younger sister math a lot. I taught a lot of people that I worked with last year different concepts, like people that showed up after me since I was co-oping for a full year. So an area I excel is definitely teaching, and I'm hoping to eventually get more into that like after graduation. Tell us about a challenge you had to overcome. What steps did you overcome it? And what would you do anything differently if faced with it again? Okay, so on my co-op, like the second 6 months, I was given a pretty big project, and I have more of an engineering background than a science background. And in engineering, you know, usually there's like one right answer, but in science, there's so many right answers. And so I really struggled because I didn't like want to start experimenting until I had all my questions answered. But my mentor sat me down and she said, you know, in science, you don't have all your questions answered. Like that's the point of experimenting, is to answer those questions. So kind of like realizing that and getting started is what kind of the challenge that I had to overcome. And then what would I do differently again? I would say I would like not get so caught up in all the little things. You know, I don't have all the questions answered, and that's okay. So I just need to get started and get going, is kind of what I would do differently. But I did really like this challenge because there were so many little parts to it, and it really taught me to like pay attention to small details and document really well as keep a whole bunch of different like sheets of like, these are all the parts, and this is how I'm going to accomplish each one. And then last question, what 3 things do you want us to remember most about you? Sorry. Okay. So 3 things that I think are very important. I was a risk manager for my sorority for a semester, and with that I had to deal with a lot of like sensitive situations, and I feel like that would be really good for this position because I know how to maintain confidentiality, and I've worked with like different university groups before, so I feel like that's a great skill to bring into this position, as well as I have been on campus for 3 years, so I feel like I could be a friendly face in university residences, and I could give people tips on, you know, different stuff to join, and just be like a good source of knowledge for a lot of students that might not have been here as long. And lastly, I'm really dependable, and I can provide a lot of different references from work I've done in the past to show like my dependability and that I have a really strong work ethic. Thank you for considering me, and I hope to hear from you soon. Bye.